Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're jumping into a fantastic guide from Suresh that uncovers a pretty surprising secret about SAT math. It turns out the one tool you think you can't live without, your calculator, might actually be holding you back. Okay, let's be real. That timed math section, it's a huge source of stress for almost everyone. You feel that clock ticking and your first instinct is to reach for the calculator to speed things up. But here's the twist. What if that's exactly what the test makers want you to do? The SAT's actually built to be solved without a calculator. Leaning on it too much can become a trap that eats up your time and costs you points.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start by understanding the test itself. Then, we'll dive into a super powerful strategy called plugging in. After that, we'll conquer what's known as the Algebra Big 7. And finally, we'll learn how to outsmart the test and lay out your path to a higher score.
Right. Before we jump into any winning strategies, you gotta know your enemy. Understanding the battlefield, the structure of the digital SAT, is always the first step to figuring out how to beat it. So, the math test is split into two modules, and it's adaptive, which is really just a fancy way of saying how you do on the first module decides how hard the second one is. Now, you might think a harder second module is bad, but it's actually great. It means you're on track for the highest scores, so it's a challenge you want to have. Now, where should you spend your precious study time? Well, the test gives you a massive clue. Look at this. A staggering 70% of the entire math section is just algebra and advanced math. That's not just a small hint. It's like a giant flashing neon sign telling you exactly where to focus your energy for the biggest possible score boost. Okay, so since we know algebra is the main event, let's get to our first big strategy, the power of plugging in. Seriously, this is a total game changer. It's a technique that lets you slice through a huge number of those algebra problems without getting tangled up in the complicated, abstract stuff you see in textbooks. So here's how it works. Instead of wrestling with all those x's and y's and n's, you just swap them out for simple numbers, like 2 or 3. You solve the problem with basic arithmetic, stuff you can do in your head, and you get a target number. Then you just plug your simple numbers into the answer choices until one of them matches your target. It's that easy. Let's see this in action. A question like this is just begging for you to plug in numbers. Let's pick easy ones. Say the elephant ticket, X, is $6. That means the monkey ticket is half of that, so $3. So for one person to see both, it's $9. Now let's say the number of people, N, is 2. The total cost is 2 times 9, which is 18. 18 is our target answer. Now all you have to do is plug in x equals 6 and n equals 2 into the answer choices and see which one gives you 18. Boom. Done. So we've established that algebra completely dominates this test. But algebra is a huge, intimidating word, right? The great news is the SAT only tests it in a few very predictable ways. Once you break it down into these 7 common types of questions, it stops being a scary monster and just becomes a checklist. The trick is to stop seeing a problem and just thinking, ugh, algebra. Instead, you need to see the specific job it's asking you to do. Is your job to set up an equation, to solve it, or maybe just identify what a piece of it means? Recognizing the pattern is half the battle, and it's absolutely crucial for speed and accuracy. Let's just zoom in on one of these types. Identify. For these questions, you don't even have to solve for anything. The question will give you a real-world story and an equation that models it, usually something like y equals mx plus b. Your only job is to explain what one of the numbers means in that story. Is it a one-time fee, a cost per hour? You're a translator, not a calculator. And here's a perfect example. We've got V equals 48M plus 650. If V is the value in his savings account and M is the number of months, what's that 650? Well, think back to y equals mx plus b. The 650 is in the b spot, the y-intercept. That's always the starting point. So it has to be the initial amount of money Juan put into the account. See? No complex math, just identification. All right, it's time to put on a different hat and think like the people who write the test. The SAT isn't just a math test. It's a logic puzzle, and it is full of traps. Knowing the math is great, but to really win, you have to learn how to spot and sidestep their favorite tricks. And this, right here, is the #1 most common trap on the entire math section. The test makers will give you a problem that takes a couple of steps to solve, and you can be absolutely sure that one of the answer choices will be the number you find in an intermediate step. It's the answer you get before the final correct answer.
It almost always looks exactly like this. The question ultimately asks for the value of, say, 2x. But of course, to figure that out, you first have to find the value of x. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the value of x itself will be sitting right there as an answer choice, just waiting for you to fall for it.
Let's watch this trap play out in the wild. If 10 plus x is 5 more than 10, okay, simple enough. 10 plus x equals 15, so x equals 5. You're feeling good, you look down and there it is. Answer choice A is 5. You click it and move on. But hold on. What did the question actually ask for? It asked for the value of 2x. The real answer is 2 times 5, which is 10, answer B. It's that last little step where they catch so many people.
All right, we've gathered all the intel. Let's pull this all together into a clear, actionable game plan. These are the key strategies that are going to completely change how you tackle this test.
Just remember these 4 pillars. 1. Understand the test structure so there are no surprises. 2. Master the plugging in strategy to make hard algebra easy. 3. Learn to spot the algebra big 7 so you can work faster. And 4. Always be on high alert for that wrong value trap. These are the keys that will turn that test anxiety into pure confidence. And that brings us to the final, and maybe most important idea. It's not just about how many hours you practice, it's about how you practice. This whole explainer, based on Suresh's amazing work, is about making a shift from just doing problems to strategically mastering the test itself. It's about learning the rules of the game so you can go out there and win. Good luck.